Let's get more on this breaking news now with Nick Wadhams. He is Bloomberg's national security reporter, one of the reporters behind this scoop. Nick, tell us what we know so far.
What we understand is that Panama's government is essentially looking at the possibility of scrapping the contracts with Hutchison Ports, which is a subsidiary of CK Hutchison, of course, the major conglomerate based in Hong Kong. And the issue there is obviously this comes amid a lot of the pressure from President Donald Trump. But what they're looking at is whether the port deal that was originally signed around 1997 and then renewed in 2021 may have broken or gone against the Constitution because there are some allegations or concerns about issues around taxation and other matters. But what we understand at this point is that Panama is thinking of canceling that contract.
Canceling that contract, severing completely their ties with that Belt and Road Initiative. Is that what we're talking about? And if so, Nick, what would the response be by Xi Jinping?
Well, I mean, you could bet that it would almost certainly go to the courts. China has steadily eroded Hong Kong's autonomy, but, still there is an argument that CK Hutchison, this contract was signed many years ago. And in fact, in 1999, the U.S. State Department assessment at that time was actually that it posed no threat to U.S. interests. Obviously, a lot has happened in the intervening 25 years. And particularly President Trump has said very explicitly that he thinks China is a major threat to U.S. Interests there and, had even sort of vaguely threatened military action. But what you did see is Secretary of State Marco Rubio heading down to Panama this week. It was his first trip as Secretary of State. So a clear priority. Now we're getting this. It really appears like the Trump administration is putting a lot of pressure on Panama.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit more about that trip. It was certainly interesting to see that was Rubio's first international trip in the role. What do we know about what happened on that trip, what conversations were had, what potential concessions were talked about?
Well, really, I mean, at the start, there were two major concessions that Panama gave. One was to allow free passage to U.S. naval ships going through the canal, and the other one was to sever its relationship with China under the Belt and Road Initiative. Whether that's enough will remain to be seen. Panama has slowly been increasing and solidifying its relationship with China over the years through bridges, infrastructure projects. It switched its recognition to China from Taiwan, one of the last countries in the region to do that. So you have had this momentum shifting toward much closer ties with China as China looks to expand its own economic and global influence in places, in countries across South and Latin America. So, you have two sort of momentum pushes here. One is the Chinese influence and one is Trump coming in and saying, listen, we're not going to accept this and pushing back hard. So far, it looks like there has been some sort of a momentum shift in President Trump's favor.